Hi everyone, welcome to this video. I'm just going to share some tips on how to play Gambale's Monster Lick. So it's a couple of tips. I'm also going to share the backing tracks at different tempos for you to practice. So starting at 100 BPMs, then jumps to 110, 120, 130, 140, and finally with a backtrack at 150 BPM, which is the final one. So the idea is for you to practice. I will also leave the original tabs, give you a couple of tips, and ending the video with some suggestions on fingerings, especially on some parts which I'm playing slightly different, and I will explain why. So anyway, tips. First, muscle memory. So you have to memorize everything, every movement, every fingering on the left hand, if the pick is going up or down, all of that. No pull-offs, no hammer-ons, nothing like that. Every note has to be picked so to have a clear articulation. So some folks have trouble memorizing long pieces of music or licks or whatever. So for those, I would suggest practicing small groups of notes. So for example, something like a something like that, and then you jump into the next and so on. So what you do after you memorize all of those smaller chunks, you just stitch them together one after the other. A very important one also is to always practice slow at a tempo that you are comfortable with, and as soon as you are capable of playing the entire lick with no mistakes, one take after another, and you reach that point where it becomes easy for you, then you jump into the next one. Now 10 BPMs is quite a lot, so take your time until you are comfortable with each step, and then you start using the next backing track. Another tip, I also recommend putting an emphasis on the accents, the strong beats, the first and the third. I'll turn down the volume here, because when you play with distortion, it acts more or less like a natural compression, so the notes in terms of levels are all even. So, but the idea is that you play, that's why I'm just capturing with the microphone here, it's like a you can help yourself by tapping your foot or a metronome, whatever you prefer, but do that, because that will also help you to position or locate yourself with the backing track. So for example, there's that part where we start all over again, but on the one octave higher, I have a cymbal on the drum. So if you hit that cymbal together with this note, you know you are in a good position to carry on. If not, you made a mistake somewhere, or you're playing faster or slower, whatever. So by putting an emphasis on those strong beats, that helps you to locate yourself. And the other, and this has to do with the fingerings. If you're watching this video, probably you have seen also Rick Graham's video when he is revisiting this lick and suggests some new fingerings, because the original from Gambale, he does a lot of the pinky here, right? Well, actually I can play with volume now. And the same in here. So the pinky is a weaker finger. The middle finger and the ring finger are stronger and longer. So that enables you to reach the place with more speed and accuracy. That's why he suggests, and I agree with him, to change, sorry, instead of playing with the pinky, you do it with your 3 and 2. You have to do a bit of a stretch here, but that should be fine as soon as you get used to it. And same again here. You just slide, so instead of doing this as the original, wow. Again in here, and that makes it easier. But my suggestions to change are also in the part where you have to do some string skipping, which is always awkward. So what I recommend in here is to, especially I'm talking about this part here. That's how Gambale plays it. So there's a string skipping here, actually. So, and then comes another string skipping here. So that final string skipping, unfortunately, I cannot avoid with my suggestion. But the first one I can. The way I do it is like this. You play. Actually, I will turn the camera down a bit so you can see what I'm doing here. So, well, it went a bit sideways, but after I play this one, I do in here, because I'm going upstroke again, and I slide. The only tricky part is that whenever you're, because in here I am on the 10th fret, right? So when you play this note, release this finger so that you can more accurately play on the 11th, on the B string, right? Because instead of doing, you're doing, and you are picking all the notes, so you still have a good articulation. So and that's another change. Instead of doing like this, I do it like this, and then I shift the left hand. So and this also enables me to have independent fingers on every note, so it's easier to, as soon as you play, you kind of release, so they sound of a bit more clarity. And then the rest is the same. So I'm not going to show you how to play all the notes, because you have the tabs for that, but just to show you how I do these trickier parts. So there we go. I hope you find it useful. Cheers.